I'm Gregor Thomson. I'm a philosopher and a writer, and I know what the meaning of life is. Welcome to The Struggle. This episode is brought to you by The Struggle newsletter. This is a weekly email newsletter in which I send out every Sunday for free a short article concerning the art of embracing struggle. If you're struggling to be more productive, to be healthy, to achieve your dreams, perhaps you're chasing the wrong thing. A lot of us believe that we should be aiming for happiness, but this is an unwise pursuit, as happiness comes and goes without any control from us. However, there is a way to be more fulfilled with life, and that is to embrace productive struggles, to exercise, to eat healthy, to have uncomfortable conversations, to take career risks, to discover who you are, and to be autonomous. That's why I created a newsletter. Along with the article, I also provide tips, strategies, and recommendations such as movies, music, podcasts, and recipes to help along the way. To sign up completely for free, go to gregorthomson.com, the link will be in the show notes, confirm your subscription, and make sure you check your spam folder for your welcome newsletter, and add me to your contacts to continue to receive it in your inbox for free. And that's it. You're on your way to struggling more and being more productive, healthy, and motivated. Now, let's get on with the struggle. This is episode 33 of The Struggle with me, Gregor Thomson. And as you can see, you're joining me in the spare room of my flat. I'm changing locations of where I record. I'm just experimenting to see if the lighting here is better, the soundproofing's better, and if the backdrop's a bit more interesting. So let's get on with the episode. This week, I'm going to discuss sacrifice. The concept of sacrificing now for later is hardwired into our primitive brains. Our realization of time and sacrifice probably occurred simultaneously the moment one of our primitive ancestors became aware of the future. It was these ancestors that survived because they realized that in order to survive tomorrow, they had to sacrifice today. They had to consider the future, and to become aware of the future, they had to become aware of their mortality and vulnerability. When they realized that they could die tomorrow if they didn't consider it, or they were vulnerable to predators, they prepared for it. Instead of gorging themselves on that day's hunt, they saved some for tomorrow, just in case they failed to find food, and with that, the sacrifice was born. Once they knew their days were numbered, they became aware of the manners in which they could increase those days, such as saving food for later, arming themselves, and protecting themselves against predators. They then became capable of increasing their chances of seeing tomorrow. In order to guarantee tomorrow comes, they had to sacrifice. They had to sacrifice today so that survival tomorrow was more likely. So that's where sacrifice began. It then morphed into sacrificing to gods in order to survive. It was written into religious dogma that we must sacrifice for meaning or sacrifice for the afterlife. And then it became a philosophical idea that in order to find meaning, we had to sacrifice for the greater good. We discovered that sacrifice leads to meaning. And today, not much has actually changed. We still have to sacrifice food today in order to survive tomorrow, but it's not so we have enough food to survive tomorrow, it's so we don't eat too much today and become ill or overweight tomorrow. We now suffer from abundance and must sacrifice that abundance to survive tomorrow. We want to live a long, healthy life, and in order to do that, we have to sacrifice binging for pleasure today so we are healthy tomorrow. We have to sacrifice the comfort of sitting on the couch all day for exercising so that we're fitter tomorrow. This is also true fundamentally and subjectively. All of the people in long-term relationships sacrifice the short-term and mostly meaningless pleasure of sleeping with different people for the fulfillment of being in love for the rest of their lives. All of the people who have a purpose or have meaning in their lives or have a dream they're chasing most likely sacrifice a lot in order to pursue it. They might sacrifice the pleasure of making more money now in a job they don't like for the pain of making a hell of a lot less money now to pursue that dream. They may sacrifice the stability of steady income and a mortgaged house for the uncertainty of chasing the dream. Perhaps it's a young athlete who sacrifices drinking alcohol with his friends for the pursuit of breaking records or winning gold at the Olympics. Perhaps it's the student who sacrifices their formal education and drops out of university to start a business. Maybe it's the lost 30-something-year-old who sacrifices their stable and well-paid job and travels across the world to become enlightened or to find meaning. Meaning must be paid for. You don't just happen across it. You earn it, and you pay for it in sacrifice. Otherwise, it wouldn't be nearly as meaningful. It's the pleasurable feeling of finishing a workout, of walking off stage after a successful speech, of all of your hard work paying off. You can't get these feelings without the sacrifice. You can't feel the pleasurable feeling post-workout without the workout, or the proud feeling post-speech without the speech, or the feeling of satisfaction after achieving something great without the hard work. Sacrificing comfort and pleasure today ensures that tomorrow and all other tomorrows are filled with liberation and fulfillment. Sacrifice is action, meaning is the reaction. Sacrifice is payment, and meaning is the product. Therefore, the more significant the sacrifice, the more you pay, the more meaningful the reward. Sacrificing what you least want to sacrifice that will produce the most significant reward is optimal. So what do you least want to sacrifice? What's something you really don't want to give up, but know it would lead to the most meaningful reward? Is it quitting your boring job to pursue that dream you've had for years? Is it sacrificing the comfort of a long lie tomorrow to exercise? Is it sacrificing that takeaway tonight for a healthier dinner? Is it leaving a comfortable but problematic relationship for the pursuit of the one? Is it sacrificing a well-paid and stable job to pursue the dream of having a successful podcast? Is it sacrificing your days off to work on said podcast, like I'm doing right now? You are restricted somehow, and sacrificing what's comfortable but restrictive is the first step towards meaning and fulfillment, and the first step of productively struggling to break free from that restriction. The answer lies in that struggle. So keep on struggling. Just a few more things before you take off. Firstly, thank you for watching. It genuinely means a lot to see people viewing and liking the content. Second, if you're enjoying the content, please subscribe. It's the best way you can support the podcast. As you can probably tell, I don't have a lot of fancy equipment and I don't have a team behind me helping with recording and editing the podcast. So any support from you is greatly appreciated and it will help the podcast grow. You can also stay up to date with everything I'm doing on social media. All of the links will be in the show notes. And you can listen to the Struggle podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And lastly, keep on struggling.